Hello, and welcome to Reads. That's short, but really exciting and delightful stories. And I'm your host, Nahjee Grant, and I'm a children's author. On this show, we explore children's stories and authors like you. As a matter of fact, you can appear on this show with me and read your story. Right now, we have a spring short story contest, which is open to all ages. And to participate, you have to write and illustrate a story no longer than 32 pages about your best or worst summer vacation. The four winners will be chosen, and all winning stories will be featured on TV with the possibility of the writer co-hosting the show with me if they win. An elementary school winner will receive 2 tickets to the Please Touch Museum. The middle school winner will receive 2 tickets to Six Flags. The high school winner will receive a $100 scholarship, and one adult winner will receive a $100 gift card to Amazon.com. And all prizes are sponsored by Asserta Pro Painters of the Main Line. The contest begins March 21st and ends May 25th. You can mail your entries to LMTV at 75 East Lancaster Avenue, Ardmore, PA 19003. Or you can visit us at www.theworldwasmadeforyou.org or email us your story at lmtv@lowermarion.org. So you could be on TV with me and read your story to everyone. And doesn't that sound exciting? Well, speaking of stories, I have a special guest with me today, Elliot Douglas from Penn Valley Elementary School. And he's here to read his story, The Impossible. So we had a short story contest this past winter, and we had over 60 submissions from multiple states. And we had 2 winners from each grade level, and Elliot was one of our 5th grade winners. So I want to welcome Elliot to the show. Elliot, how are you today?
I'm good.
You're good? Thank you for coming. So you have your story, The Impossible, and before we have you read your story, I just want to know a little bit about your background and how you came up with the story.
So it all started when our teacher asked us to write about anything from time traveling to biography, just anything. And I really liked superheroes, and I found out that in superhero movies or comics, they have a bad guy, and then they usually have the scientist who's very renowned.
Right.
And so I got the idea of a renowned scientist who time travels to the future, and he meets this villain, and he tries to stop him from time traveling.
Okay.
That's where I got the idea.
Very interesting, very interesting. So how long did it take you to write your story?
About 3 months.
About 3 months. So the contest was about 2.5 months, so
Yeah.
that's very interesting. And I see on here that you have some contributors.
Yeah.
So you want to just announce who your editing team was to help you complete this book?
So my editing team was Ariana Pavri, Noah Levitt, and Julian Pace, and they really made this story to its best. They really helped a lot.
So it takes a team.
Yeah.
It takes a team. Absolutely. So it took you about 3 months to complete. You had contributors help write this story. So is this one of your first stories you ever did, or do you have a background in writing stories like in your spare time? Do you have an interest in being an author and writing?
Yeah, I have an interest in being an author, and I always liked writing, and this is like my first published book.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, it's good to have your first published story on our show. So without further ado, I'm going to step back. I want to let you read your story to the broader audience.
Okay. The Impossible by Elliot S. Douglas. Chapter 1. Not the Impossible. In the city of Philadelphia, everyone's gathering around to see an extraordinary event that is about to occur. People have journeyed from all over the globe to see this. Making all of this happen is the Science Inventing Robotic International Laboratory, or for short, SIRI Labs. And the head scientist of SIRI Labs is no ordinary scientist. This guy is the most renowned, brilliant, innovative, and big-headed scientist who has ever stepped foot on this planet. His name is Professor Elliot S. Douglas. Alongside Elliot is his crew, the esteemed scientist and Professor Dr. George Q. Boltanski, and the bionic dog to support with this project. His project is to travel to the future, to be precise, 2030. But before he prepares to time travel, He is going to give a speech. The audience volume lowered until you could hear nothing but a pin drop. Great people of Philadelphia, I will be making the most impossible thing on the world happen. Wait, hold up, back up. Today is not the impossible. Today my friend Dr. George Kubeltansky, the bionic dog Bark, and I will be time traveling, Elliot says in a confident voice. The crowd roars in astonishment. After the speech, Elliot and his friends go into the lab to prepare for the journey to the future. George says anxiously, I don't know about this. What if something happens? What if something goes amiss? What if we're stuck in time? Relax, relax. We have the best crew of scientists and engineers, not to mention a bionic dog. We'll be fine, says Elliot. George's head starts peeking up. Are you ready, Victor? Yes I am, says Victor the engineer. Let's go. Elliot and George grab their belongings and supplies, and with that, they're ready for the journey. Victor and the crew get the intricate machine out onto the podium. Victor sets the time machine to Philadelphia, 2030, holding 3 passengers. Elliot makes another announcement. People of Philadelphia, these might be my last words to you. On this journey, I hope to learn new ways to improve everyday things, such as transportation and better food. Just joking. The people in the audience snicker. Anyway, I'm going here to do some research, and of course, be the first person on this earth to time travel. The crowd cheer. Some people throw their hats in the air. Elliot hears someone mutter, Wow, who cares anyway? Elliot's confident manner drops for a second at hearing this remark. I can smell success in the air. I hope my nose is working, but if Bark, the bionic dog, George, and I don't come back, still believe in yourself. Accomplish the impossible. And like that, Elliot and his friends go into the green and black swirling portal, possibly never to be seen again. Back at the laboratory, Victor's on headset, listening to every word they say. Elliot, are you there? Roger that, Victor, says Elliot. I'm okay. Wait, let me reword that. I think I'm okay. No obvious issues. Bark is fine too. How about you, George? Excited, George says, shaking with excitement. Okay, so where are you? What does it look like? Victor asks. Right now, the portal says that we are in the 2020s, and the portal looks green and black. Also, the portal says what time I'm in. For instance, past, present, future. We are currently in the future. I hope you're writing this down as I speak, Elliot says through the speaker. Already ahead of you, says Victor smugly. Like you always are, Elliot and George mutter sarcastically. We have arrived in Philadelphia, 2030, says the robotic voice of the time machine. Thank you, supercomputer, says Elliot. You are welcome, Elliot and friends, computer answers. We've arrived, Victor, Elliot speaks in the headset. The time is currently 11:32 a.m. Once they step out of the machine unsteadily, they look up and see it. Chapter 2. Help! Peeking up, both scientists and Bark gasp. What is that? George says under his breath. I don't know, says Elliot. Well, what should we do? George asks in a panicked voice. Oh, gee, I don't know, Elliot replies sarcastically. How about run? They run off, screaming, as if they were being chased by zombies. Elliot, George, and Bark are panting so hard that it seems like they've been running for days. Bark, can you evaluate this mighty creature? Elliot looks down at the bionic dog. Sure thing, boss. This creature has enormous tusks, razor-sharp teeth, and red eyes. The worst part is that its wingspan is about 350 feet, and it's about the height of a 3-story building. The creature's aptitude is probably destroying things. Yeah, but what is it? George asks impatiently. I don't know what it is, but it's hard to put into human words. Oh, I got it. It's a mix between a mammoth, a T-Rex, and a peregrine falcon. Not exact translation, but it's pretty accurate. Anyway, it's humongous. That's it. Thanks, says Elliot. Let's go somewhere safe. They hide in a vacant building until the creature's nowhere to be seen. After that frightening experience, they start working on what they came here for, research. They start taking notes about the technology, transportation, and how the city was structured. After 2 hours of note-taking, George suddenly falls asleep. Elliot shakes him awake. What? George sputters. You fell asleep, you big dummy, says Elliot. But it's late. Let's get something to eat and go to bed. The next morning, they pack their belongings and head out on the vast field. Elliot presses a button on the remote, but the portal doesn't turn on. He tries again and again, but it doesn't work. Oh no, exclaims Elliot. I think we're stuck in time. All of a sudden, the portal sparks. Oh, thank goodness, Elliot sighs. The portal opens and they all step through. While they're in the portal, they don't think to look at their surroundings. Once the portal stops, they climb out. What they see outside doesn't look familiar. Computer, what date is it? George asks. Why, it's Philadelphia, 1962, of course. Oh no, this is bad. This is really bad, Elliot's voice shakes. How are we going to get home? George says. The time machine is broken. Wait, Bark, where's the most modern science laboratory? Elliot asks the dog. 2 miles away, boss. It's called Question Labs, says Bark. Elliot, George, and Bark trudge the 2 miles until they reach it. A big sign in bright green lights, and the outside says Question Labs. They go inside to find someone who believes them. Excuse me? Elliot asks the tall man standing at the door. Yeah, says the man. My name is Professor Elliot S. Douglas, and this is Dr. George Kuboltansky. We have come here from the future. Really? The man asks in an astonished voice. I am Dr. Harry Cole. What time did you come from? 2017, replies Elliot. Our time machine broke, and we can't get to the future now. Wow, Harry says in an astonished tone. So let me get this straight. You come from 2017, and you want to get back. Your time machine broke, so you need my help. Elliot nods. Okay, says Harry. There's one small problem. We don't have technology as good as stuff from your time here, so we can't build such a great machine. I thought you might say that, Elliot says, so I brought some of our materials so we can build it. Great, Harry exclaims. Let me set up a workspace so you guys can get started. As the scientists walk down the hallway, Elliot asks, Didn't that guy look familiar to you? What do you mean? Never mind. Elliot still isn't sure of where he saw that man, but he knows he saw him before. He wants to talk to George, but Harry comes back to tell them that he set up a space for them. Thanks, Harry, says Elliot. Now, let's get to work. Chapter 3, The Time Rebel. Elliot and George put all their time and effort in making the time machine again. Finally, after 3 days of continuous work and little sleep, Elliot puts the finishing touches on the machine. Early the next morning, even before the birds wake, they return to the vast field to make their second attempt at time traveling back home. I hope this works, Elliot says. I have faith in you, Bark replies. George nods his head in agreement. We'll see. Elliot's self-esteem is slightly boosted by their confidence in him. They turn on the machine. Once again, Elliot commands the computer. Computer, take us to Philadelphia 2017 with 3 passengers. The portal opens. They walk through and brace themselves for the strange feeling that comes with time travel. Both scientists and Bark are so exhausted they can barely keep their eyes open. Little do they know that someone else is right behind them in the machine. After a few minutes, they finally step out, the bright golden sunlight nearly blinding them. The city looks exactly like where they left it. I can't believe that crowd is still there, George exclaims. The crowd roars in astonishment, but suddenly they go quiet, looking behind Bark and the scientists. Guys, look! Someone in the crowd yells. The scientists turn their heads so swiftly that they almost crack their necks. Once they see the person behind them, they gasp. Harry, is that you? George asks, astonished. Why did you follow us back to the present, or actually your future? Elliot asks. Because I'm not really Harry Cole. I'm not from 1962, and I'm not a scientist in Question Labs, he sneers in a menacing voice. Then who are you? Elliot replies. I am a time rebel, the crowd murmurs amongst themselves. Wait 1 second. Elliot's thinking hard. Are you the person who said, wow, who cares anyway, when I made that speech before I left 2017? Yes, I can't believe you haven't figured that out yet, Mr. Smart Guy, the time rebel says. And yet, did you sabotage our time machine too? George asks, frustrated. Yes, the rebel says. And were you the one who released that terrifying creature in 2030? Bart asks. That was all me. What are you gaining from this? Elliot says, annoyed at the man who thinks he can just walk in and ruin Siri Labs, project of the century. What am I gaining from this? What am I gaining from this? I'm gaining control over you, idiotic morons. I used to be in your position. I used to have it all. But you and your stupid little crew of dinky wannabe tech-savvy phonies who don't know how to time travel from walking to the bus, stop in the morning to go to your cool little school where you learn the difference between X, Y, and Z. Ruined it. What are you saying? I can barely understand you, Elliot retorts. What, you don't have the brain capacity to understand, that is? I was a renowned scientist. Just last year. Haven't you heard of me? My real name is, well, Dr. Potato Potato, and do not make fun of it. The crowd breaks into hysterical peals of laughter anyway. He ignores it. My project is somewhat smaller, but more technology advanced. Mine launched from New York, and it was in a small metal capsule. The crowd wouldn't take me seriously. Every time someone said my name, they laughed. They called me crazy. No one would support a guy with a name like that, they said. Crawl back into the little hole you came from, they said, his voice bitter cold, and recalling the taunts and insults. I set out on a time travel quest to prove all those people wrong. But while I was in the capsule, something went wrong. The metal overheated. I thought I was going to die. Instead, the time I went to changed. It was supposed to be transported to 2025. Instead, I went to 2055. I stumbled down a dirty street and into a nearby hotel. I had blood leaking out of my nose, staining the lobby's carpet. I flopped onto a couch. He sighs, then touches his nose, remembering the pain. There was a man sitting next to me. He didn't seem to notice me. I asked him, "What year's it?" He didn't answer. I asked again. He still didn't answer. I gave up. I poked him. Then something happened. Something I'd never forget. My entire hand went through his body. Half of the crowd stands up to leave. I know. You think I'm insane. Everyone else did. But if I know humans, you'll stay. They do. He continues. After months of exploration, I learned that I now had the ability to time travel. I didn't need a machine. I didn't need anything. All I had to do was think of the time and place. One day, I was in 2053. As I walked down the street, I spotted two men. They looked sad. Since some chemical process altered my body on the botched time travel mission, I could time travel, make myself silent, and become invisible to whoever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I was invisible right now, and no one could hear me. I leaned to listen to their conversation. The first man said, "This really stinks." The second man said, "Yeah." Then he sneered the name, Dr. Elliot S. Douglas, the inconsiderate scientist. I can't believe him. Because of that time travel mission in 2017, he single-handedly destroyed the environment. The emissions were too high. Everyone in the crowd went home with an unknown sickness. Someone in the crowd coughs. Miss Potato Potato says, I left immediately after that. Being a time rebel with my weird power depends on the safety and stability of the ozone in the time period I traveled to. So I set out to find this Elliot S. Douglas, and now, here I am. Chapter 4, Environmental Disaster. So are you saying that since the time machine left the time I was created in, I changed the environment in 2030, Elliot's voice quivering? You didn't just ruin the environment in 2030. You ruined it everywhere in time after you left, Potato Potato says. All of a sudden, a giant tornado hits the science lab. What was that? George asks in a panicked voice. There hasn't been a tornado in Philadelphia since 1999, Bark answers for him. Now do you believe me? Potato says smugly. The crowd is going hysterical at this unexpected tornado. Oh no, this is awful, Elliot moans in belief. My home, my job, my reputation, my entire life is going to be ruined. Potato grins. Sayonara, suckers. I'm off to a more stable time period. That, his body slowly fades into something that looked similar to static. Soon there was just a light spray of mist where his body had been. We've got to do something, says George. Well, what can we do? The city's already half destroyed. Our lab is gone. What are we supposed to do? Bark jumps up with a solution. I figured it out. All we need to do is go back to when we left in 2030 and convince our past selves not to time travel. This whole scene will never have happened. Bark, you're a genius. Well, you're a robot. But anyway, all we need to do is get back into the portal to the day of our presentation. So they crossed the podium and set the portal to January 2nd, 2017, city of Philadelphia, time 11 a.m. For the second time, the group disappears into a swirling green and black portal. As the group of scientists are in the portal, their surroundings change. It becomes black and dark and disgusting. Why does the portal look so much more different? George asked. That doesn't matter right now. The only thing we need to focus on is to tell ourselves from the past to not go on the time machine. Finally we're here, Bark says. That took longer than I expected, exclaims George. I see ourselves. I look so happy, yet I don't know what's about to come, Elliot mutters to himself. People of Philadelphia, these might be my last words. Elliot from the past is beginning his speech. When should we convince ourselves not to go into the future, Bark says. When we go into the science lab to tell Victor about the portal, replies Elliot. As past Elliot's speech was coming to an end, the group of scientists and dog made their way up front but not to be seen. Elliot, George, and Bark from the past go into the laboratory. Future Elliot, George, and Bark sneak into the lab. Finally, past group caught a glimpse of future group, and they all screamed. Why do you look exactly like me? Past Elliot asks, clearly surprised. Because we're from the future, replies Elliot. That means I already time traveled successfully into the future, Elliot says. Not exactly, George responds. What do you mean, says Elliot from the past. Long story short, you go into the future and mess up the environment. When you come back, there's a time rebel who sabotaged the time machine, so you guys travel to 1962, where you get stuck, and finally you come back and see a giant tornado destroy your lab because you ruined the environment when you travel to the future, Bark replies. So please, do not go into the future. Please, exclaims George. Fine, Elliot from the past says. But what am I supposed to tell the audience? Oh, I can't go on the journey to the future because the whole world would end. They think I chickened out and I'm making an excuse. Yeah, that could work, but just use more detail, George exclaims. No one's going to believe us, replies Elliot from the past. Who cares? At least you'll be saving the environment and saving all those people. You will be saving the whole world. That's all that matters, Elliot from the future exclaims. Okay, I'll do it. Come guys, let's be the saviors of Earth, past Elliot says. They step out onto the podium. Past Elliot is shaking. How would the audience respond to this comment? His entire career might fall to the ground. Past Elliot takes a breath and gives his last speech. People, I truly apologize, but I can't go to the future, Elliot from the past says sadly. The audience gasps in astonishment. I know, I'm upset too, but it's the only choice. If I go, the environment will be destroyed, and the earth could even end because of me. So please, don't get mad at me. It's for your own good. Elliot looks out in the audience. The audience cheers for Elliot and the group of scientists. Elliot, Elliot, Elliot! Back in the lab, future Elliot smiles and says, I think we did the right thing. Wouldn't you agree? George and Bark nod in agreement. Wait, 1 second. If Elliot changed the future, then are we supposed to not exist? Exclaims Elliot from the past. All of a sudden, they feel a force grab them, and they fade into nothingness. Chapter 5. Happily Ever After. Everything is back to normal in Philadelphia. No tornadoes or storms, just regular, beautiful days occurring. Elliot is still a renowned scientist, and George and Bark have retired from working. The city flourishes and is happy forever. Until one day...
Well, again, I thank you for reading your story.
Welcome.
We had a lot of submissions, during our last contest, and myself and one of the other judges, we really enjoyed reading your story. You have a bright future ahead of you, so I want you to keep writing, and hopefully you submit one of your stories for our spring short story contest. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, how would you like to read your story with me right here on TV? We have a spring short story contest that's open to all ages. You can write and illustrate a story no longer than 32 pages about your best or worst summer vacation. All winning stories will be featured on TV with me and have the possibility of the writer co-hosting the show with me, just like Elliot did today. We have one elementary school winner will receive 2 tickets to the Please Touch Museum. One middle school winner will receive 2 tickets to Six Flags. The high school winner will receive a $100 scholarship, and the adult winner will receive a $100 gift card to Amazon.com. And all prizes are sponsored by Certapro Painters of the Main Line. The contest began March 21st and will end May 25th. You can mail your entries to LMTV at 75 East Lancaster Avenue, Ulmer, PA 19003, or you can email the story at lmtv@lowermerion.org. So you can be on TV with me and read your story to everyone. And doesn't that sound exciting? Until next time, keep reading and reading. Really exciting and delightful stories.